Amateurs.
Hi, it's Jerry Roberts, and we are back with our esteemed Friday panel, Nick Welsh, Delaney Smith, and Josh Molina, noted podcaster.
Good job, Jerry.
Okay, we got that in. Plenty
Is
of.
that a podcaster? Is this more the cannabis creeping?
See, I knew you'd bring the cannabis up sooner rather than later. All right, so it's Friday, and after 30 years, we're supposed to get some of State Street closed. Nick and Delaney, you're on the scene. What's going on? Is it buzzing with activity right now?
It's definitely it's not buzzing with any more activity than it has been for the past 4 to 5 weeks. Then again, I only took a walk around the block so far today.
You know, I've been trapped in my office since 7 this morning. I haven't been out on the street.
All right, on the street.
So I assume there's tumbleweeds coming by, but soon there's going to be long tables in the middle of the street, and where
independent.
That's pretty much a typical day for you, Nick, right? In your office,
reporters have to look out the window.
People to call you.
Can't do it. Well, are you doing a story today about what's happening with the closing of State Street?
Yeah.
Or tomorrow? Are you going to do something today?
Yeah, we're going to get something up. I mean, at 4 o'clock today, we're going to have the promenade. So it's, it is sort of crazy. And there's this great sense of sort of rejoicing and excitement and relief. And it's like we're all having sort of Groundhog's Day on steroids, that we can kind of come out of our closets where we've been hiding for the past 9 weeks. Even if we aren't clear on how safe it is or isn't, it just there's a great feeling of relief. We'll see how much people show up around 4:35 tonight when the promenade is supposed to start, and when a lot of restaurants will have cannibalized the sidewalk space in front of their operations.
Josh, when are you doing your story?
Before Nick does his.
Okay.
I'm
sorry. I didn't mean to go all competitive.
When am I doing my story? I did my story already. It's already published saying that.
No, I just meant you're on the scene reporting.
I don't know. I mean, I'm probably going to do kind of a Saturday story because it's going to open at 4, and I think there will be a lot of people downtown wanting to check it out, but it will be probably better tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes when it's sort of open all day.
So here's what I took away from the council meeting when they were talking about this week, that a lot of council members were really eager to close the street. That was the thing that they really, or open it, as the mayor would like to say, get the street closed, get the street closed. But Jason Harris, the economic development guy, was saying, well, wait a minute, we're going to close the street if nobody's going to come. It's going to be worse than ever. So how did that finally get resolved? They're going to do both. They're going to do everything. John?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's sort of ice cream sundae with about 5 cherries on top. 2 weeks ago, what the idea was, close State Street, and then, as you said, Jason Harris kind of looked at it and said, well, really, what are we going to close State Street for if we can't get businesses to open on the sidewalks? Let's get the businesses on the sidewalks first. And so on this Tuesday at the city council, that was his pitch. And some of the council members kind of felt there was a little bait and switch going on there. They weren't happy about it. Kristen Snedden was very forceful. Wait a minute, we can do both. So it was sort of, instead of cutting the baby in half, this was the creation of a new Siamese twin. How's that? And
new Siamese twin on Groundhog Day on steroids. Josh, was that? Well, what did you think was going on with the council? That were they unanimously demanding that the street be opened, or what's the politics here?
They were all very confused at the meeting. Some of them were under the expectation that only 2 blocks were going to close. Others wanted all the from Haley to Sola streets. So they didn't really know what was going to happen at that meeting. And the public called in and they said, some of them said, let's close more blocks. Some of them said, let's just close 2. We don't want this to delay any of the opening. So it was sort of something that was hashed out right there in the meeting. I think that Jason Harris was being very cautious. Paul at the time was being cautious, but he responded well to members of the public who wanted to open more. I mean, I think the story here is Paul trying to rebrand himself and sort of market himself with Anthony Wagner behind him as sort of the bit of a savior of the community. It's really
He's all of a
transparent.
sudden a gung-ho guy. Let's go. This is exciting.
It's really transparent that they're definitely trying to turn the marketing notch up to 10. I think that Paul is trying to look like he is somebody who's being proactive here, and he's finally listening to the public. He's listening to them and saying, we better do something quick. Even if it doesn't work out, at least no one can say that I didn't do anything. Yeah. And that's what he's trying to do. And initially, they were just going to open 2 blocks, and now they've opened it from Sola to Haley. And that's all Paul. That's Paul pushing it. And let's see what happens. There's some concerns that if people don't come out, if they don't feel ready yet to be out in public near each other, that we might see some homeless people there. I think that's a concern. So I think the city is sort of doing a trial and error and just sort of seeing how it happens and how it plays out. But it's definitely going to be a big weekend to know if it turns into this festival-like atmosphere or if it's just some people kind of wandering in the streets.
All right. So Delaney, first of all, a 2-part question. The 2 parts are not related to each other whatsoever. The first part is, are you going to go down to State Street and celebrate all weekend and walk around with a cup of beer and stuff? And B, none of this would have happened had it not been for the RISE report on which you reported this week. What's the RISE report and why does it matter?
For part A, no, I won't be, but that's really just a personality thing. Never wouldn't have done that before COVID. But as to part B, RISE is a plan. It stands for Reopening in a Safe Environment. It's a companion guide to the state's guidelines for opening different sectors. And it's a fluid document. It's created by over 300 stakeholders, business stakeholders within the Santa Barbara community to voice their input on maybe more Santa Barbara specific, a more Santa Barbara specific way of opening and really redefining opening guidelines towards what businesses are here. And making it less generic. And then, there's an independent medical panel that obviously also vetted it through public health. And altogether, they pulled this 80-page document. They pulled it together in less than 3 weeks when it was supposed to take 6 weeks.
With absolutely no transparency. It was terrific.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Jerry, it's not the comprehensive, full, fantastic plan. But then again, it was created in under 3 weeks and somehow just in time for submission.
So how does the city plan intersect with the RISE plan? I asked Greg that and he was kind of unclear about it.
I was gonna say, yeah, it is really unclear. I think that the city has, at least from an outsider's perspective, the city has not really gotten its stuff together as well as the county has. And so I think that the 2 entities working together hasn't gone so great. But RISE, it does incorporate a lot of that, right? Like I know that Nancy Anderson, assistant CEO to the county, said that she's also on that same board that Cathy created for the city. So there is communication between the 2, but it's not obviously integrated. Like, go to page 49 to see the city's,
And then in this comprehensive, sweeping 80-page document, Nick, you managed to take out genital piercing and how to receive Holy Communion, which I thought was a interesting combination. What,
Yeah.
why did that pop out at you, so to speak?
Well, if you read all 80 pages, which I did this weekend, a lot of it is just boilerplate, repetition. And then all of a sudden you come to page 58 and you go, oh my, and they're talking about genital piercing. And, well, I did not know that was a big concern in Santa Barbara, where that would be a vector of concern. They highlighted that one, and nose piercing, lip piercing as well.
Until stage 3.
I think stage 3 till the governor says you don't have to stay home.
So the governor today approved genital piercing for 37 of California's 58. We're awaiting that.
Yeah, we're waiting that. So it was just, I was sort of in a grumpy mood when I wrote that, and I was going, why would you go to the trouble to include this detail? So I was sort of ripping on the idea that this is to give us a sense of assurance that if they've gone to that level of minutia, they must have really considered everything, and so therefore
we're all safe.
Come out.
Yeah. Josh, let me go back to, you mentioned Anthony Wagner, the spokesman or the PIO for the police department and close ally of the police chief, who is, I guess, I don't know if he's been transferred or being shared over to City Hall, and he's now sort of playing this behind the scenes political consultant role, most notably by producing a 12-minute video by the mayor 2 months after the start of COVID, announcing that COVID is here. What's the play with Wagner? What's going on?
Wagner's being borrowed from the police department. Oh, sorry, Nick. You want to go ahead?
Go ahead.
Okay. Wagner's being borrowed from the police department, and he's come over as a communications PR guy for the city, and he's helping Cathy create these videos. She did the first one. It was a 12-minute, 16-second state of the city speech, seated at some round table in her office. And
with the gavel. You notice the gavel there,
yeah.
Problem placement. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if that was staged better than your typical Sunday open house or not, but what I do know is that the feedback I've heard is that the content was fine, but the delivery was less than inspiring. And I think that probably goes with the narrative of Cathy, in that she's a super nice person and she means well, but she doesn't necessarily, with some members of the community, sort of encourage them to get behind her. She's not a great motivator and leader. And in this video, objectively speaking, it didn't feel like Barack Obama at all. It didn't feel as though it was something where all of a sudden I wanted to watch more videos by her. But then again, should we care about style and substance? I mean, it's the content. She's trying. I don't know. I know that people have told me that they weren't that impressed with her delivery.
Did you watch it, Delaney?
Oh yeah. No.
What'd you think? Honestly.
It made me laugh a lot. But okay, well, I can appreciate.
Not that honestly, Delaney.
Okay, I can appreciate. I really can appreciate the fact that for weeks now people have been questioning where's the mayor and all of this, and people have felt like Cathy was largely absent up until this point, and that's just what I've been hearing. That's not my opinion. That's been the narrative since the pandemic hit Santa Barbara. And so I appreciate the fact that this video is the first attempt at really truly trying to address that, and you have to start somewhere. Even if you're starting 2 months late, you have to start somewhere. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate the attempt, but I really liked
Paula.
I like what's going on in Goleta a little bit better. Paula's video was fantastic because like the shots kind of jumped to like her going around the city doing stuff. It wasn't her in an all black outfit.
Well, it felt more natural. I mean, it really,
You know, it was very awkward to watch the video, but like Josh said, the content really was fine. I think it was the delivery, and I think it was the timing, and I think it was just the whole get up that was just uncomfortable and awkward to watch to the point it actually made me laugh.
Nick, did Anthony write it? Nick,
A little harsh. I mean, I would say that.
did Anthony write it?
What's that?
Did Anthony write what you
I don't. Anthony told me Cathy wrote it, but I don't know. I'm sure it was a collaboration. I mean, Cathy has suffered from the Where's Cathy syndrome, and why now? Well, because this weekend we're going to have the promenade and the stroll, and businesses are going to reopen. So the timing was good for her, even if it was accidentally good for her. I mean, it was sort of mystifying.
Except it was still, the first one, she said she's going to do 5. The first one was still up this morning, and it still said the state won't let us open anything. We still got a problem with Lompoc Prison. I mean, it's also out of date. Is she doing a new one?
Yeah, you know, I don't know when she's doing the next one. The problem with the COVID is by the time you're through interviewing somebody and you've written your story, the information you've gotten is old. And so you have to constantly renew and refresh. And they clearly, Anthony Wagner, who is like the Spangali here in terms of communication, he's focusing now on getting ABC, alcohol beverage control licenses, for all the restaurant owners who want to use the sidewalks. And they have to navigate with the state in order to get that permit to go take the drinks outside.
Jason told me that the ABC office was closed.
The ABC office is closed through Tuesday. So all these people are going to be all dressed up with no place to go. Anthony's trying to say, no, here I am. I'm going to have a special meeting for you on Wednesday. I'm going to show you how to fill out these forms so you don't get bounced. I'm going to drive it down to Ventura because we don't have an office here where they have 2 staff people. We're going to drive down all these applications to Ventura on Thursday. And if it don't rain, we'll be able to drink on the sidewalks come Friday.
So it's going to be like New Orleans. It's going to be open carry. Everybody walking around with it.
It won't be open carry, but that's an interesting point. Let me go back. We used to have open carry on the sidewalks at Fiesta back until 1980. But what happened was there was a big fight during Fiesta, and people started throwing bottles at the cops. So the cops had an emergency session with the council and said, you have to ban, carrying drinks on the sidewalk on State Street. And that's when Santa Barbara went dark and dry.
All right. So no Fiesta this year, I guess. We have virtual Fiesta.
We're gonna have virtual cascarones and virtual horse poop on State Street.
Although I'm not sure, I mean, it's worth pursuing whether you can have a virtual Fiesta and have a State Street that's wide open and not expect people to party like it's Fiesta. And I don't know if Old Spanish Days has gotten the sign off from City Hall yet. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if we haven't heard more news on that topic.
You mean that they're going to try to do it for real?
No, I don't think they're going to try to do it for real, but it's really hard to do a virtual Fiesta when Fiesta for a lot of people is, yes, the formal events, but for most people it's go downtown, eat, drink, and party, especially tourists. So now we have an open State Street. I don't know what kind of messaging the city's going to do to say, hey, during the week of Fiesta, we're not really going to be celebrating Fiesta downtown. It'll be interesting to watch. And I don't think we've heard the last of that story.
But we won't have a mercado. All the food is at Delgado Plaza. We're not going to have the dancing at the courthouse. We won't have the dancing up at the Mission. We won't have Our Lady of Guadalupe. We won't have, all the different places where people would congregate in large numbers to eat churros and other things. What happens to all the Cascaroni guys?
Well, are they going to have Fiesta special margarita prices? I mean, that's,
I would be surprised if they don't.
yeah.
I mean, if I was a restaurant, I would certainly be selling margaritas.
Hey, Delaney, was that your story about how the governor sent us $45 million? Did you write that one?
No, that was Jean's story. I'm only covering press conferences on Mondays and Tuesdays now.
Okay, all right. Well, that was kind of a big deal because we didn't know if we were going to get anything from the.
Yeah, no, that's a huge deal. And it's going to go a long way. I still watch the press conferences. I just don't write about them on the other days of the week. It is a huge deal because we're pretty bad in the red. And Greg Hart was saying, a month ago that like the county is living off of its reserves because we don't know if we're actually going to get how much money we're going to get paid back. And now that we have that, like, yes, it's not going to fill the entire hole, but it's going to make a big dent in the debt that COVID has caused and the loss of revenue from sales taxes and stuff like that. So yeah, that's huge.
And Josh, meanwhile, so the city started dealing with its deficit and decided to give a raise to public employees, except Mike Jordan and Eric Friedman, standing up for fiscal conservative, voted against it. Why did they do that? I mean, I think
This,
it was.
I mean,
I'm
this
not
is
saying
like
it's a good thing. I'm just.
I mean, this story, if we weren't dealing with the pandemic, I mean, this would be a huge story, and it probably will be a huge story down the road. But Mike Jordan, endorsed by SEIU Local 620 and the Dem Party, Eric Friedman, endorsed by those two entities as well, voted against giving them a 2% raise this year and 2.5% raise this year. They had already agreed to it, but when it came time for a formal vote, they said, now's not a good time. And the reason was
They agreed to it. They agreed to it before the pandemic.
Yeah, before the stay-at-home order and before the city started to feel the massive economic impacts, they had agreed and renegotiated all the contracts with the labor groups. But then this happened, and obviously the city needs to make up $30 million in its general fund. And so Eric and Mike said, now's not a good time. We realize they're super important workers, but they don't feel as though they should be giving people raises at a time when everybody else is going to be having to take cuts. And this is huge because the Dem Party, when SEIU endorses, it comes with the expectation that they're going to take care of their salaries and their benefits. And that doesn't mean that they always have to do everything that they say, but voting against them, pulling it off a consent calendar where it's not even supposed to be discussed, was a big red flag. Jordan got an email from somebody who basically said, I wish you would have let us know that this is how you feel. Maybe you should change your party registration.
Yeah, didn't they liken him to Mitch McConnell?
What?
And then
they say you should be Mitch McConnell?
yeah, and then Jordan went and posted that email that he got on his Facebook, and it turned into a thing. And so like everybody sort of knows that Jordan is sort of, hey, I'm not a quid pro quo guy. I don't really care if you endorse me. This isn't the right thing. Eric was more hush about it. He did his vote and moved on. But that's going to be interesting down the road to see if they can make amends or if Jordan and Eric have burned a bridge there.
What's
Follow up on that. Part of the politics there is that police and fire unions have already gotten raises. They were ratified by the council pre-COVID. And there's this serious antagonism between the public safety unions and SEIU because public safety gets paid better. They contribute less into the retirement. SEIU, by contrast, represents the lowest paid workers, and they represent workers who in the past have made concessions sooner. And so there is definitely the Cinderella stepsister vibe going here with SEIU. So there was a sense of parity. Like, we can't screw SEIU again. We're going to be going to all the unions asking for givebacks. From what I'm hearing, the police and fire everybody's at the table. whatever that means. But the police and fire unions are less open to concessions, say, than SEIU is. So the argument, even though it seems intuitively totally counterintuitive, is that by giving this, by approving this contract, you're going to be in a better position to get givebacks when you need them.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, one more thing. On the eviction moratorium, where does that, is there a difference on the residential and the commercial policies now? Did they change that? I'm confused about where that stands.
I can speak to county, not to city.
Yeah.
County, and this is just residential, it's a little nuanced. So Newsom passed 2 different eviction orders. One was just a blanket statewide eviction moratorium. The other one allows individual counties to decide whether or not they want to have eviction moratoriums in their specific county. And so what the supervisors passed on Tuesday was an extension of the one that allows counties to make their own individual choices. And so the only way that's going to work past May 31st when it expires is if Newsom also extends his order. If he doesn't, but he extends the statewide moratorium instead, fine. Tenants are still going to be protected in Santa Barbara County. The trouble is that if Newsom extends neither of his statewide orders, the county statewide order, no matter what, will become null and void. And so those tenants will be responsible within 90 days to pay back all of their rent. And so that's the issue countywide, which causes a lot of confusion because in the city of Santa Barbara, there's a whole different ordinance. And so someone might live just outside of that in Nolita and it won't apply to them, but they won't know if it applies to them.
That's what's the deal in a city.
Yeah.
It's similar to what Delaney said, but it runs out May 31st. So people were able to defer the rents, both residential and commercial, for April and May. If the governor decides to extend that, then the city will mirror that. And so whatever he decides to extend, they will extend also. If people have up to a year to pay back the rents, but they can't all pay it back in the 12th month, they have to pay it back amortized over a period of time. So it's an equal amount every month. The commercial brokers or the commercial property owners wanted the city to separate commercial so they could go in there and work with their tenants on their own and get paid sooner. The city did not do that. So they're just sort of waiting on Governor Newsom and whatever.
And the city's getting sued now, are they not?
The city hasn't been sued yet, but Jim Cannell, who is the head of SEMA Management, which is probably the single largest commercial property owner and manager on State Street in downtown, has brought in Pacific Legal Foundation, and they are threatening a takings lawsuit.
It's a conservative nonprofit kind of, they file a lot of suits hoping to get good decisions in federal courts, particularly appeals courts.
I mean, it's sort of, it seems a little premature. I mean, their argument is the emergency conditions that gave rise to this emergency ordinance are gone, and so therefore we shouldn't have to bear the burden of this. At City Hall, the reaction is, look, we're talking about 2 months, and you're going to get paid back over 2 months. You're going to get paid back over 12 months. You're not, nobody's taking your property. Nobody's saying this is rent forgiveness. You're going to get paid. You're just going to have to bump it 2 months.
All right. All right, we got to leave it there. Everybody stay safe as you're celebrating down on State Street. I won't be going anywhere. Don't forget your masks. And, oh, by the way, fire season has started. So who knows what's going to happen next. All right, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, you take care.
Bye-bye.